because the title wasn't on the line because Ryan Garcia missed weight. It's not really the biggest problem for Devin Haney in terms of, because again, he didn't lose his belt. So regardless of what happens, I mean, do you think Devin Haney should stay at 140? Because my next few questions is about, I guess, the limitations we saw. Because I'll get onto that.
Well, if he didn't have any problem making weight, he should stay at 140.
Right.
They never said that they had a problem making weight at 140. So until we hear that, then he should just stay at 140. He should learn how to throw punches and move his feet at the same time. Whether he can't do it or won't do it or doesn't realize he's not doing it, I don't have that answer.
Yeah.
I'm not his trainer and I'm not him. But I will tell you that needs to improve because he can't throw punches and move his feet at the same time. You can see that. Every time he throws punches, he has to stop, and then when he wants to get out of the way, he stops throwing punches and moves his feet. So he's got to do it together. It's a big flaw.
Yeah, and I guess for the remaining time, since we've covered pretty much everything else, it's about Devin Haney. You know, a lot of people were comparing him to Floyd Mayweather for many years. When watching that fight, and I may have broken this down, but I just ran out of time, I thought he looked more like Andre Ward in there, to be honest. The way that he was, I mean, he wasn't faster than Ryan Garcia, and he wasn't able to pick him apart with the jab very much, even though his jab was a lot more active. So the way that
to be honest with you, I don't think comparing him to Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward, I don't see any of it in either guy. I don't think that he's not on that level. It's not just because of the other night. He's not on that level. Andre Ward found ways to win in tough fights. Okay, Andre Ward that's why he retired undefeated. He found ways to win, and he was in some tough fights with Kovalev, especially twice.
Yep.
He was in that Super Six with Carl Froch and those guys. Those were tough fights.
Yeah.
So he found a win.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
100%. And in his biggest moment, he didn't find a way to win.
100%. And when I was comparing him to Andre Ward, I guess Haney was clinching a lot throughout the fight, but he just looked very awkward the way that he was rushing in. And this is a guy who's really young, whereas Andre Ward, I remember him. Which fight was it? It was I think it was the Carl Froch fight, because Carl Froch, we know he was a messy guy to fight, and Andre Ward was very comfortable with being able to, sometimes he wouldn't even have to clinch him on the inside. He would just cover up, let Carl Froch punch, and then he'd whip him with that left hook. And he was just way more comfortable with what he was doing. Haney just looked very uncomfortable. And this, I guess, is into a big question, which I didn't want to ask just by itself. I wanted to segue into it. Has Haney been overrated?
I would think that is relatively obvious after the other night when he had no answers for anything.
Right.
Like I said, great fighters find ways to win on off nights.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, Riddick Bowe found ways to win on off nights. Holyfield in his heyday found ways to win on his off nights. Ray Leonard did. They all do. I mean, you got to find ways to win in tough fights. Mike Tyson didn't find ways to win in tough fights. He was pushed back 6 times and got stopped or disqualified all 6 times. He was the front runner, classic front runner. So I'm not saying that Devin Haney's a front runner, but I'm just saying to you, when the going got rough, he just kept doing is getting up. He didn't find a way to win. He found a way to survive.
Yeah, and a lot of people look. I thought Lomachenko beat him. I don't think it's a terrible robbery to give it to Haney. And a lot of his fans have been saying that, look how he fought when Lomachenko looked like he was going to stop him in rounds 10 and 11. And I was saying, well, yes, he fought back, but that was against a guy who looked like an entire weight class smaller than him. Devin Haney, he showed heart in that fight, and I've had people on both sides. People get angry at me for saying Devin Haney showed heart because they don't like him, but people then say, "Oh, Devin Haney's."
Listen, he kept getting up, and he showed heart against but he didn't show resolve. He didn't come up with resolve to win. The great fighters come up with resolve to win.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's just all there is to it. Just like Pernell Whitaker, he found a way to win against Hurtado. I mean, he come back and stopped him in what, the 11th or 12th rounds, was willfully behind on the scorecards and came back to stop him. You know, those great fighters find ways to win in tough fights.
Yeah,
That's what makes him great. And he didn't find a way to win. He was tough enough and showed enough heart to survive, but didn't show the greatness to come back from adversity in a fight and win that fight. He hasn't been in that kind of fight until the other night.
right.
Think about it.
100%.
You know, I don't. The Loma fight a little bit, but you know, a lot of one-sided fights. So, you know, that when the going gets rough, okay, the rough get going.
Yeah, and I know. So again, in terms of the amount of people criticizing Devin Haney, because that was one of the first videos I did. I talked about how people from Paulie Malignaggi to Carl Froch to Regis Prograis and many others were talking exactly about what you've brought up, which is Devin Haney didn't make adjustments and didn't find a way to win. And someone with your expertise can know that you'll know this a lot better than me. When was the last time you saw a fighter of this level who was propped up to be like the next Floyd Mayweather, whatever? Basically, he was very high on many people's pound for pound, look ordinary and not be able to make adjustments in a fight?
You'd have to refresh my memory. I don't remember. I mean, Tyson Fury finds ways to win. I mean, the great ones do.
Yeah.
That's what makes them great, you know? I mean, you know, Diego Corrales was behind with Jose Luis Castillo, got knocked down, looked like he was out, and he came back to stop him. I mean, those are marks of great fighters. It's a big mark. Now, I don't really consider Diego Corrales a great fighter, but that is a mark of a great fighter.
Right.
There's no question about that. So,
yeah. And looking forward, last question on Devin Haney, because I wanted to ask you some questions about and it is brief because we've talked about the PBC, but it's questions about Boots Ennis and Wilder and what's happening with them. But last thing on Devin Haney, I don't want to ask you should we write him off, because that's a pretty vanilla question. But I guess, in your opinion, are his abilities limited to where he just can't make the adjustments, or is this?
Sorry. I think it's too early to say. He's a young man. He's only 25 years old.
Right.
This won't be a defeat anymore, because it'll be turned into a no contest if Ryan Garcia is found guilty of using the performance enhancing drugs. But in truth, you know, in reality, it's a loss. You know, he's got to make the adjustments. We have to see. They did not have a plan B or C. They had no answers, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So we'll see.